Hey everybody, it's your old pal Chuck, and we're back with another review. And today we're taking a look at from the Hasbro Pulse exclusive Transformers Shattered Glass line. This is Shattered Glass Soundwave, Laserbeak, and Ravage. Yes, this is actually a repaint with a new head of the very rare, very hard to find Netflix exclusive retool of Siege Soundwave that was retooled to transform into its tape cassette, as well as the Laserbeak and Ravage cassettes. Now, right off the bat, let me just say the Laserbeak and Ravage cassettes are based on their Siege designs, not their Earth mode slight retools that came with that Netflix Soundwave. But seeing as how that Netflix Soundwave goes for a couple $100 now, thereabouts, and this one can be had for around 70 after shipping. Yes, it's pricey, but seeing as how you're getting a Voyager and a core class price point set with the two tapes, I think this might be the better option. Now, I do have Ravage here just pegged in on the shoulder because, as we all remember, the tapes in the Siege were sold as weaponizers, so they could act as like shields or bucklers for Soundwave or some of the other characters. Let's put him off to the side. This is the tape mode. Very nice. If you're familiar with Shattered Glass Soundwave, this color scheme should look very familiar. You have the metallic sky blue, that off-white, more of that metallic blue there on what will be the forearms, and even a little hint of that green that'll be on its rockin' headband. But as always, the cassette tape works. I know there's been some issues with them and the tape's getting stuck, but here's Laserbeak. Don't worry, we will do comparisons with the original mold in just a second. And in fact, seeing as how that's about it for the tape mode, what we'll do is we will pause. First, we will take a look at comparisons between Laserbeak and Ravage and their Earth mode Netflix versions, and then we will compare the two sound waves. Okay, and here are the cassettes in their beast modes. First, we'll take a look at Laserbeaks. Obviously, the big difference here, besides the color, is the head. As you see that there's more of a pronounced condor head here on the Earthrise Laserbeak. And I'm just going to use the term Earthrise since it's a little bit easier than Earth mode. Whereas on the Shattered Glass version, it still has that Cybertronian look. Although, as I remember, the original Cybertronian Laserbeak was more like a flying drone than any type of bird-like creature. But there's been so many different versions of Laserbeak over the years. You know, who knows. As you can see, the backpack, which would be the boosters and laser guns, in the Earth mode version, it's a little more of the silver. You have that tape detailing that's been painted, where it's just straight red here on the Shattered Glass version. But other than that, the mold is the same. You do have ports here if you want to put blast effects on for the boosters and stuff like that. And the figure can still sit on Soundwave's arm, although when I get into robot mode, I'll show that due to the repainting, retooling, this Laserbeak really only sits on the right arm instead of the traditional left arm, where with the button. But it is what it is. And then we take a look at Soundwave, at Ravage, and I got to tell you, Ravage I was excited for because as some of you might know from the old Transformers Collectors Club comics, the Shattered Glass Ravage, or at least the one that they created, was a very funny, very friendly character, much into social media and taking selfies and stuff like that. Unfortunately, from what I can tell, I haven't had a chance to read the comic yet. This Ravage is not like that one at all. But again, we're coming in and comparing the two figures, and the differences in the head are, a little harder to see. I mean, this is the Earth mode. It has that more open mouth, where this has the more closed mouth and some extra greebling on the side. That's really not present. Oh, I know it is there on the other Ravage. So, but other than that, in terms of the legs and the haunches and stuff, uh, it's basically the same. Just that slight difference in the head. And speaking of which, here's my Ravage, so we can compare it to the different Ravages. Yes, see? Black, furry, lack of fur. Here's the white. But you can tell that the Shattered Glass Ravage does share a lot of that paint detailing with Soundwave. But, here's a top-down look of them. Yeah, I mean, just a lot less new was done on going from the Cybertronian version of Ravage to the Earth mode. So that's about that. What we'll do now is we'll pause and we'll compare the sound waves. I didn't pull out Netflix sound waves weapons, but just so you know that this is what they look like here with Shattered Glass Soundwave, and he does come with that extra gun piece that would normally go with Megatron. But as you can see, big difference in color here. Please ignore the furry backdrop. But the real difference is the head, which is how Hasbro was able to release this figure in the Shattered Glass line. Since, as we know, Walmart has control over this mold for a certain period of time. That's why Hasbro was not able to reissue it, re-release it, anything like that yet. Who knows what they're going to do, but that's speculation for another time. As we come in and take a look at the hedge, you can see that while it is very slight, there are some differences. Besides the molded in green headband, the point here at the front of Soundwave's crest, that very samurai looking kabuto, is a little bit more pronounced than on the Earthrise version. I kind of want to say that the points on the side maybe stand up a little straighter. And obviously there's a different paint deco than on the mouth plate. It's actually a very, very shiny silvery deco, and you have that bright neon green for the headband, which is molded in and does tie in the back. So they have it tied in the back. I would have liked to have seen it flow a little bit more, but I understand it had to still be able to fit into the backpack here for the transformation, which, by the way, if you are curious about the transformation, I will have a link to the original Netflix Soundwave review. But other than that, the other big difference is the light piping, which I got to tell you, they nailed it on both versions of Soundwave. The light piping is just spot on. They have it in the right position. It catches the light well. The eyes are glowing. The neon green here on Shattered Glass Soundwave, and then on the blood red on the Netflix Soundwave, because I think that's based more off of the original toy. But yeah, I mean, just fantastic looking figures. Other than that, you can see that metallic blue coloring throughout on the Shattered Glass Soundwave replaces a lot of the silver and gray. And also there's that white instead of that gunmetal gray. Thankfully, I haven't had any of the yellowing problems that is apparent on this version of Soundwave that Hasbro really is aware of, but doesn't seem to care enough to do anything about. I just can't get over how good looking Shattered Glass Soundwave is. This is my first experience with a Shattered Glass Soundwave, and I really think Hasbro did a good number. As I mentioned, unfortunately, because of the painting, the grooves here that Laserbeak would sit on, the tolerances just aren't there. So there's that, but Laserbeak can sit on that arm. And yeah, this really is, I would say, this mold is the best version of Soundwave in terms of an 80s homage that we're going to get for some time. So that's about it. I think what we'll do now is we'll pause and we'll come back with my final thoughts. Okay, so I do have Laserbeak very gingerly perched there. It is not clipping in, it's not sitting well, so there is that. But I think Shattered Glass Soundwave is a fantastic set. And as I mentioned at the beginning, this right now is the only way to be able to get the tape cassette version, the micro cassette version of the Soundwave mold at a somewhat reasonable price. I mean, close to $70, you might not think is that reasonable, but when you compare to what it's going for on the secondary market, if you can find it, and the fact that, you know, this mold is going to be tied up for a while with Walmart, you might want to balance things out. Yes, I know it's not the classic colors, it's not the sound wave we've all come to know, but in situations like this you got to make do, and it is a really nice looking figure. I was glad to double dip. Obviously, I mean, I'm a little more familiar with the Fun Publications version, where this was like an 80s rocker type of guy sending out songs of hope to the heroic Decepticons fighting. And of course, I just fell in love with the Shattered Glass version of Ravage that showed up in their newsletter. Just fun all around. Uh, so that's about it for the review. If you like this review, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing. While I will always appreciate the views, the likes, comments, and subscriptions do help with the algorithms to tell YouTube that my channel should be exalted and held upon high. If you want to make the ultimate sign of support, I do have a Patreon. It is www.patreon.com/ChuckDog1999. All I ask for is $1 a month or $12 a year. No thrills, no tiers, no special rewards. All you're doing is helping me help you, help me to help you bring figures like this to you, as well as keeping up the infrastructure of the channel. But as I always say, I know we are in a bit of a recession. Inflation is going on strong, and there are plenty of cases where people have to decide whether to put gas in their car to go to work or to eat. If you are in one of those situations, I don't want you thinking twice about me. I'm fine. I'll be well. I'll get by. Patreon is just a cherry on top of an already generous Sunday. Your views are more than thanks enough, and I truly support the over 10 years of support, of help and viewing and enjoyment that we've had together. And I especially know that with this past first half of the first 3 weeks of November, especially this past week, was very, very hard on some wallets, with once again figures coming in months early. So I do understand, like Soundwave coming in early. But that's about it for the review. This is your old pal Chuck for Shattered Glass, Soundwave, Laserbeak, and Ravage. We will see you next time.